All right, so today's topic is navigating the timesheet process and submitting payroll. This is going to be more along the lines of the bread and butter of what you guys are doing in the system every week. So in order to run through the process real quick, I've set up a sample employee inside of our demo company, logged in as an admin user in this demo company, and we're going to go through the whole process from start to finish of reviewing this employee's time card, making any changes that we may need to make, and then approving it, running it into payroll, and just running things all the way through just the way that we would if we were in an actual payroll. So before we even begin, first things first is that there are going to be some differences for some people. Not everybody uses the software in the exact same ways. Some of you guys don't go all the way through the payroll process. Some of you will take it to lock, as we say, where you just process the timesheets and then send it over to us to process the pay portion. So you're kind of going to have to adapt what you see here for what your use case is. So that's why I went with the approach of we're just going to do everything. And then this way you see how everything goes, and the pieces that apply to you, and the pieces that don't, you don't need to worry about. So without any further ado, I'm in here logged in as our demo admin, staring at what I'm sure is probably a pretty familiar looking dashboard. And there's a couple different things in here that are different, a couple things that most of you probably haven't seen before. So for starters, is this My To Do widget. Some people have used this in the past, but most of our clients have not. This is going to be increasingly important in the transition to the new UI, because moving forward, the way that a lot of things are going to operate, stuff like timesheet submissions, change requests, time offs, etc., are going to be done through the My To Do function rather than through a typical report style list, the way you guys are used to seeing it. Once the transition takes place, the old method is still going to be active. So if you're currently approving time off and timesheets and such in a way that does not use this widget, you won't be forced to adopt it straight away. I don't know if there's going to be a hard switch at some point in the future, but that's not currently in the pipeline. So if you don't want to convert to using this widget, you don't have to. But moving forward, that's the way things are going to be going. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. So we're going to cover it just in case. So this is as a result of the workflow style method of doing things, which is going to be the new standard. So the way that that's going to work is when an employee submits their time off request or timesheet change request, anything that the employee submits that then has to be signed off by a manager, instead of you just getting an email and having to sift through the system to find the request and then approve it or reject it or whatever, it's just going to pop up straight in here. We can still configure it to send you an email reminder. Don't worry about that. We know how useful those are. But from the dashboard right here, you can see everything that is your personal responsibility to handle. So as well as a nice, tidy approve or reject button. So on my demo employee earlier today, I went through and I submitted a vacation request, which we can see right here, for May 5th, 2020, for 8 hours. Now, if I wanted to view any more information about this request or the person that submitted it, I can click any of these buttons here, so I can pull their timesheet up if I was curious to see if they had anything else scheduled on that day. I can pull up their time off counts and see, if they have enough time to make this request, which this employee doesn't, but that's besides the point. And then I can make any changes to the request I see fit. If, maybe the employee requested 6 hours, but then got back to me and said, hey, actually, I could use 8. We can go through there and make those changes. And if I want to approve or reject this request, all I need to do is click one of these buttons. And that's going to be the same, accomplish the same thing as it does currently when you pull up the list of all the time off requests and you check the one you want to approve and you click the button and all that, except this way, it's just all straight on your dashboard. So if you are currently not using the workflow method and this appeals to you and you want to convert to this, go ahead and let your payroll technician know, and they'll loop me in, and I'll touch base with you on getting you converted. And this can be active in the current system as well, but it's just not quite standard yet. And as you can see on here, that also applies to the timesheets. So when an employee submits their timesheet for your review, instead of having to fumble through the menus and find where, you know, manage timesheets, current pay period, all that fun stuff, it'll just show up in here. And we can review our example employee's timesheet here. And if everything looks good, we can, you know, just click approve or reject directly here in the little My To Do menu. But to proceed with doing things in a more relatable way, we'll just start off with reviewing this employee's timesheet. The process of doing that hasn't really changed. So no matter what method you're using, you know, you can either access it through here or through the existing widget for timesheets awaiting approval. So we'll just go ahead and click in through there. And this is all relatively unchanged. It looks different, which is kind of the recurring theme of this whole switch, but the actual functionality of everything that's in here is still the same. So all of your timesheet review processes and guidelines and stuff like that, that's not being altered. It's same as before. You know, we can jump into the summary by day tab, see we have an incomplete punch on the 15th, jump in and change that, and we're good to go. Really boilerplate stuff. You guys have been here a million times. Same with approving or rejecting time off. I'll apply the filter to get our request to come through, and we can see this is the same request that was sitting in our widget on our dashboard. It's for Ann Albright for May 5th, 8 hours of vacation. And if we wanted to approve that, we would just check it and click approve checked requests, as well as, you know, a comment if we want. Click OK, and then now that time entry is going to pop up on our example user's timesheet. And then to go a step further, did we submit that? No, we did not. So we'll go ahead and approve that timesheet real quick, just to move things further along. And so then now from here, we're just going to proceed with this one employee. So now we'll go ahead and get started with the actual payroll portion. So we'll go ahead and jump into process timesheets. And we want this current pay period, which I believe would be this one here. So we'll go up into the time prep piece, which is the same kind of thing, same layout, same options, just looks a little bit different. So right up at the top, we can see we have no pending time off requests because we already approved all those, but we do have one pending timesheet change request. So we'll scope that out real quick. And this is our good pal, David added in a time entry that needs to get added onto his timesheet. So we'll go ahead and approve that. All right, and so then now we can see we still have 2 open timesheets because we approved the 4 earlier, but there were the 2 that still needed changes. So we'll go in and scope those out as well. So if we wanted to actually view them and make sure that, you know, they all look nice, we'll go through and actually look at those timesheets. The actual timesheet window, once it loads, is still also going to be pretty reminiscent of the way that things look now, just again with that theme of a new coat of paint. So let's just pull up one of these days that has time on it. So we can see that sick request that we approved earlier. just 8 raw hours totaling up over here. So we're going to go ahead and just approve this one because there's not a whole lot going on there. And then we'll switch to the second timesheet, which actually has some time entries on here. So we can see in at 8, out at 12:30 for lunch, back in at 1, and then out at 4:30 for the day. This layout is pretty much the same as the way it is now. All of your familiar buttons and options are still up in the blue button bar, still in the same kind of order that they were previously. Nothing really in the timesheet section is changing in a substantial fashion. So all of this stuff, you guys are already pros. You're going to be fine. So we'll just go ahead and approve this so we can move forward. And then now that we're done there, we're going to go back into our time prep process, and we're going to see everybody's ready for payroll. Perfect. Let's move forward. So we need to process our records, which is the step that's going to convert everybody's time into payroll data. We have no errors, so we're good to proceed. We're going to go ahead and lock our pay period. And then move into payroll. From here, we'll go ahead and initiate, get everything started. And then we're going to sync the time that we just configured in the previous section, which is going to bring all of those timesheets now into payroll. And then from here, we can review all of those pay statements or make any changes that we need to make. So let's just jump into edit pay statements. So this is a good screen if you wanted to check one pay statement in particular. So let's check out Randall McDaniel in here. And then say Randall was actually supposed to get a bonus. So if we wanted to add a new one, we can just jump into here, add in a new line for the bonus, and then key in whatever amount that bonus was supposed to be for. We'll go ahead and save. And I'm sure for most of you, this is looking pretty tedious because this is the same stuff that you guys do every week, which is good. Not much is changing. All the functions in here are still pretty much the same. No real quirks in the edit pay statement screen. This is all pretty much canned the way that it is currently. So now we'll jump back. And then if we wanted to review everybody all at once, we'll jump down into this view payroll section and view our payroll register. It's going to show everything coming in here, where we can view everybody's information. And then once we go through here, check that all out, and that all looks good. We'll go back, close our payroll. Take another look real quick just to be sure. Pretend that I'm in here really scrutinizing all this stuff. And then once we're extra double super sure, we're going to come out and go ahead and push this Submit Payroll button. And as soon as you click this button, that's going to fire off an email to your dedicated payroll technician. And let them know, hey, Jeremy went in, reviewed, and submitted his payroll. He's saying it's all good to go. Run whatever numbers are in here. And then pretty soon, you guys are going to have checks in the middle.